the main slate on DraftKings and FanDuel, but I figured I would cover the early slate on DraftKings too. It's just a 3-gamer, but why not cover it? Why not see where we're getting? I'm gonna play it, so we might as well. Don't forget, before I get started, to like and subscribe. That really helps us out. And check out TrueDFS.com. We've got a new promo. It's NFL 2025. It's all caps. You get 33% off. So if you like what you see here in the tools we use, you get SaberSim, Sheets' projections, Goldie's projections, all these things we're going to use on top of the Pay Dirt Analytics tool for DFS and betting. It's like a whole ton of stuff. And with the promo code, you're actually going to pay less than you would to just get SaberSim a la carte. So check it out. And yeah, let's get started. It doesn't look like there's any weather concerns to worry about. So I'm just going to go ahead and build. I'm just going to make a couple changes here. One, I have this filter just because sometimes when you build 5,000, you end up getting a reliever or two. And I do not want a reliever, of course. Crazier things have happened, but come on. So that's not a plus EV play. The other thing is, we're going to get to a lot of 5-mans and 4-mans. I know it's a small slate, but I'm still just not comfortable playing with all these one-offs in these low fours. I don't think we're going to get to them a lot in our portfolio. I think we want to build as many candidate lineups as we can that we think are more likely to be plus EV. We only get 5,000. It's not a lot. So that's the only change I'm going to make. I'm not going to change salary. I'm a little worried about that. Duplication does matter. We could lower salary, which is a ham-fisted way to avoid duplication, but could work. But we could do geo-mean, but same issue applies. So I'm just going to keep things as it is. I actually may just leave it. So let's build and see what happens. We'll see where we're getting to. No, people always ask when there's these earlier slates to do them, to cover them. So let's cover it and see where we get if we were playing 150 in the flagship. The one thing I wanted to point out, the Yankees total has sort of dropped a little bit in the last hour or two, like a smidge. So there was some decent money, I guess, or sharp money or whatever that came in on the Nationals, or maybe it's a sort of bet on Cavalli, the young prospect pitching for the Nationals. But something happened where the Yankees total dropped just a hair. I think that's worth noting, right? Because it's not going to be captured in the projections. They're going to be a little higher on the Yankees than the market is. And the market, with all due respect, SaberSim's awesome, but the betting markets are efficient. And in them, I trust. So let's see. We're building 150. This is nice and easy. Tons of Fried. I still expect we're going to get tons of that. 50% Rasmussen, which is right with his ownership. I am what do I know? But Cleveland has a really low total against him. So market really likes Rasmussen today. We can take a look at what his props are, but boy, I guess you just have to respect that. So let's see as far as stacks. Yeah, we're still mostly getting 5 stacks. We've got some of the 4s in here and the 4 3s and so on. Overall, no surprise, tons of Yankees. Okay, the total dropped a little, but we still want access to that. Now, as far as 5-mans, we don't get as many Yankees, and I assume that's a price issue. You get 4-mans, you can kind of fit in, but so going to the Yankees a lot, but after that, getting to Atlanta and then Tampa, none of the Cleveland really. If you want leverage, you could play the Cleveland, but just look in 5,000 lineups, 1% of them were Cleveland 5-mans, 2% were 4-mans. So just not getting there. Like the total is low. The price doesn't make sense. So there you kind of have what I would be doing. Now, I'm not playing 150. I only have like 12 lotto tickets, something like that, just for kicks. But you got an idea of what I'm doing exposures wise. I'm not changing anything. Let's see if we use Goldie's projections. Excuse me. If that changes anything. I think the issue is that, yeah, Goldie has a couple guys in, I think, that didn't end up in the lineups because he hasn't rerun yet. So we'll get an update on Goldie's stuff, but we don't quite have it yet. So, okay, no problem. We can use SaberSim for now. You know, half our lineups have Yankees. Atlanta, the next highest total, we've got them stacked up. Tampa against Ciccone after that, I think. You know, you could get cute. You could play some Miami. You could play some Washington against Fried. But I don't think you need to do that. I imagine those are the highest ROI spots. Like we used to get the high ROI stuff in the old SaberSim, but they're not, you know, if you're building 150 and you want to be sustainable, how much of your portfolio do you really want those low probability stacks? You know, SaberSim has an answer for you, and we just saw it. So, Alan, what's up? Gusto instead of Rasmussen to get bats through on DK. My thoughts is that it's fine. Let's see in 150 how much of that came up, right? It's not going to be the highest probability thing, but we got 39%, 39 Gusto lineups at 26%. And then what kind of stacks do we get with Gusto? Yeah, tons of Yankees, 70% Yankees, a lot of Yankee 5-mans, a lot of Yankee 4-mans. So, you know, let's let SaberSim answer that, Alan. The answer is yes, right? That should be part of your portfolio. And, you know, at some rate, 26% perhaps, you know, and he lets you do a lot. So I think that's totally fine. You know, Atlanta has a fine total on the slate, but it's only a 3-game slate, and it's nothing special, and they're nothing special, just from my own kind of takes on things. So yeah, I'm totally fine with that. You're going to get a lot of Yankees today. You're going to get a lot with Gusto. The one thing I would caution about is, especially if you're building by hand, is that it's Gusto's going to come with Yankees for everyone. And so the combinatorial ownership is going to be higher than these individual pieces would look on their own. So keep that in mind when you build. You're still going to have to, you know, if you're building by hand, you're still going to have to think about that, because that's going to be a common construction, and the combination of that is going to be somewhat high owned. So, you know, that's worth noting. But yes, Gusto to get in Yankees is totally viable, and SaberSim likes it, at least at you know, we have 26% Gusto, and a huge percent of that is getting in the big Yankee bats. So for sure. So, okay, let's take a look. I'm going to move on. I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on this small slate. I'm going to move on to the main. And let's see what we got. We've got Goldie's projection. So let's use Goldie's here, since no lineups are in. I'm going to switch it over to Goldie's. Now, this is a big slate. I am going to demand only 5 stacks. You can say, Adam, you know, you could grade small, you know, 4-mans, 3-mans, you know, sometimes they do well, and sometimes they're plus EV. That's true. But more times than that, they're not plus EV. And I only get to build 5,000 lineups, right? If I got to build 100,000 lineups, yeah, sure, fine. But I want as many of the candidate lineups that I'm going to grade to have a shot to be plus EV, because I only get 5,000. So that's what I'm going to go with. And I'm not going to make any changes anywhere else. And let's see where we get to. I haven't even looked at the slate, nor do I ever. You know, one thing we could do while this is going, people often ask you to hand build. I'm not a hand builder. I do play single entry sometimes, but I still let SaberSim solve that for me and fit that in with my portfolio. But we could have some fun with it. We kind of do this. So let's say I play, like, type of thing I play is like, if I'm doing it, is like the 121 single entry. So let's just see for the 121 today what it would look like. And, this could be helpful. It could help us, see what the slate looks like, guess who we're going to get. I've got, make this bigger, Framber as the top value. He's been shaky lately, but he's the top overall value. He doesn't stand out so much from Sonny Gray or Robleski. So you're within your means. And then look at Tyler Anderson coming up. The old lefty. They have tricks, as Sheets likes to say. Cubs coming up as a top value. Sheets value score. Texas looking good. Kansas City. I don't know if you have to go down to play the Cubs that much. Let's take a look at some players that are bunching up. Yeah, you've got Texas with Duran, Seager. Houston, Jordan's still a great price. Let's see what is Kansas City still against the White Sox? That always looks good. Let's see what we could do with them. And Garcia gets pricey. He's solid though. Get India. Is India in there? Who are the top values there? Massey looked good, right? Berger isn't bad. Massey looks like a good value. All right. Yeah, 2K for Massey. Wow. Let's get in Pasquantino. We'll play old Salvi. And let's see what we could do with pitching. Can we get the two top guys? I mean, you certainly can do it. Is there like a cheap? Is Duran? Duran's first, second only. Oh, we can play Massey in the outfield. Oh, hello. Okay. So if you want to play like this solid Kansas City stack, you could play the top pitching, one spend down here on Duran, and then you got plenty. I'm going to throw like a Texas outfielder with them if you can. Langford, Garcia, totally within range. Can we fit? Yeah, we could just barely fit Jordan if there's a 2K guy. I don't know if there is, but a lot you could do. A whole lot you could do. And of course, you don't have to play Valdez and Gray. And let's say Valdez was shaky. Who was it? Tyler Anderson and Robleski. I mean, Robleski will get you anything, right? Throw Robleski in there. Can you play? Oh, you could do anything you want at home against Cincinnati there. There's a lot you could do on this slate. Now again, I don't know how to solve this. I want to put the projections in, run play-by-play sims, simulate the contest, and see where I get. So let's do just that. So if for the flagship, I do get all that Framber, a little bit above the field, a little bit above on Sonny Gray. Then we don't have an ownership on Ohtani yet, but Ohtani is going to be pitching. Wait, so if Ohtani's pitching, why did I have? Okay, so we've got some discrepancies. So take this as a process video, but not a great look at who I'm playing. Not that it ever is, because things change so much throughout the day, but we've got some discrepancy with Ohtani and Robleski. So let's just wait and see. But you get Berger, and let's see stacks wise who we're getting to. Let's assume Ohtani is in, because that's what SaberSim has. And then you get that Texas, KC, Houston. Totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. But that was a little off because we used Goldie's stuff that has Robleski in. So let's try it out with SaberSim and see where we get to. All right, we want 5-mans. All right. Now let's see. Eric, what's up? Good morning to you too. The Ohtani text. Yeah. I mean, you get 5 innings, right? He has any sort of trouble, it's not going to work out. How many pitches do they have him projected for? 77 pitches on a slate this big. And the price is not bad, but boy, I don't know. And then, do you mean tax as a hitter? The hitting tax is insane. He's so expensive. He has to do so much to pay off his price. Like, he gets a solo home run and a base hit. Like, he's still tough. It's still tough to get there with Ohtani. But it all depends. We're playing lineups, not players, and he fits in ownership and projection wise and salary wise into certain lineups that are good. So there's always a place and time. Eric, how about the A's? Are we liking the A's today? Who's Detroit got pitching? I know you're an A's homer. So let's see who we get to use. Like the Reds to win. All right. There we go. Well, yesterday someone told me they liked a Luis Matos home run, and I bet the prop. So maybe I need to bet the Reds money line. See what I have in here. Make a 9 even and bet 30 cents. The 30 cents extra that's in my account. Of course we love the A's. That's right. You and Rhodey. If you look at Rhodey's stuff, Rhodey's a big A's guy. How chalky are they? I don't think they're chalky at all. I mean, even if they are, there's so many teams on this slate. But let's see how much A's we get to. That'll answer it. So using SaberSim, it's about the same. I'm just getting way more Sonny Gray. Less Ohtani. More Sonny Gray using SaberSim's inputs. Well above the field. Above on Framber. Well, way more on him. Let's see. 5-man stacks. All the same 5-mans. A's down there. I'm getting to 8% A's. I mean, I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're my 6th highest owned stack. I mean, that tells me they're not chalky. That they're going to be something like about the 6th highest owned stack. Because we're going to, play at the rates at which they win for the most part. We'll, exploit to some extent, but portfolio manager is going to get us smartly diverse. So, they're going to be somewhere in a middling range stack, not chalky. Maybe today's the A's day. Rhodey's copying you. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it worked out last year, right? Especially when they first came on as a good offense, sort of the middle to end of last year. Then they were really low owned, and then being on the A's got you real ahead of the market for sure. All right, let's see what we can do on FanDuel, then bounce. See if it's any different. I am not going to make any changes. We're not going to use Goldies right now because we've got some discrepancies early in the day. I'm going to ask for only 4-mans. I don't want the 4s with a bunch of one-offs. 4 2s, fine. Shocking because they have high total on the slate. Yeah, I mean, they have a high total, but there's a lot of teams with high totals. And one thing about the A's, they're like, no one's sleeping on them anymore. Their prices are high. That's the issue. You want Kurtz, you gotta pay for Kurtz, you gotta pay for Langoliers. Butler's cheap, but he hasn't been good. Soderstrom's getting up there. Rooker's always high. Wilson's not cheap, and he's not going to be cheaper after the day he had yesterday. So the issue with the A's is not the total. It's their prices. I think there's just the market's not sleeping on them like they were. That's what I say when you were on them halfway through last year. I mean that was the time to get on. The price was cheap, way ahead of the market. and they came on strong. They're not surprising anyone now, and the pricing algorithms got it down. Are you a real life A's fan, Eric? Or is it just like a DFS thing? All right, let's see where we get on FanDuel. All right, pitching, FanDuel. Framber and Gray. That's about it. You get a little bit of this Noah McLean prospect. Taking on Philly, scary, but good prospect. Little Eric Lauer, Nelson, Priester, Morales, but it is a Framber and Sonny Gray kind of day everywhere, but especially on FanDuel. Hard to get away. See if our stacks are any different. See if we get A's over here. Let's just look at four-mans. Detroit, on the other side of the A's game. Look how low the A's are on FanDuel. Yeah, I started as a joke. Everyone was picking the A's every slate, so I would rub it in. Oh, nice. Yeah, started as a joke, became like a good play. That's hilarious. It's no joke anymore. All right, let's see. Let's see A's. I mean, we're barely getting any A's on FanDuel. What happens to our Gray and Framber exposure if we ask for a little more A's on FD? Yeah, I don't play the chalk when they're not chalk. Yeah. When they weren't chalky and they were cheap, that was the time. It was ripe for the A's. All right. I mean, that like really changes absolutely nothing. In fact, we got less Morales. We got a little more McLean and Lauer, but you know, you play A's, you don't play A's on FanDuel. I can tell you you're getting Valdez and Sonny Gray, at least in the I play his daily. Yeah. Rhodey does not miss an A's day. Unless they go off for like $1 million. 5 years of A's. Okay, so now this is a tradition. Someone gave me a bet yesterday, and I bet it for 30 cents. Somehow I happen to have 30 cents as in there. So let's do it. Let's do Reds money line here for a little over a quarter. Why the hell not? This will be like a tradition now. 162. All right. 30 cents for $1.62. Boom. Let's go Reds. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks, guys, for coming. As Rhodey says,